Hi guys, let me enable the chat so you can chat with us. Hi Rick. Give me a second.
We don't have any coffee or donuts today, guys. It's all virtual.
We will.
Maybe a donut emoji.
That will be fun. Okay, so let's wait just 2 minutes more and we can start. I already enabled the chat, guys, so you can send us your questions. Where are you located at this moment? Did you start your setup, the training in Thinkific? Where are you at this moment with InsuredMine?
Seeing some familiar faces or names, not faces. Hi, Rick. See Damon. Who else have I seen before? Stefan, I think I've seen your name before. Welcome back. So today what we're going to go over is some Evo integration information, some updates. Hi, Deborah or Deborah. I don't know how, whichever. Some updates on the integration between Evo. And then today we're just focusing on your sales pipeline. So building and editing the pipeline that is existing in your account, how to rename the stages, how to create those deal cards, move the deal cards, mark them won and lost. And then I'll go over some basic practices for automations. So how do I automate welcome client email to my customers after they've said yes? Those are the things we'll cover today. We're going to be here for probably an hour. That's my goal. We're slated for an hour and a half, but I'd like to eat lunch. So I'm going to see how much we can get done in 1 hour. As we go through this, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Montserrat, Victoria are also on the call so they can monitor the chat and answer any questions. And then towards the end, Montserrat will probably review how many training sessions each of you get and the training plan for TWFG specifically. So we'll get started in maybe 1 more minute, just in case anyone is joining a little bit late, but 1 more minute, we'll get going. Cameron, you did the training course. Great. So you're in the right place on what happens next. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm just going to jump in. So InsuredMine it can do a lot of things. It has a lot of capabilities. I always tell agents, pick one process, build that out fully, then go to the next step. For TWFG agents, you are selecting to start with your marketing. You want to work on your new business pipeline, or you want to do your renewals. Pick one process and stick to that first, then go to the next one. If you start jumping around, you're going to have a lot of gaps and you're going to feel it's easy to get overwhelmed because it can just do so many things and there's so many different options. It's like walking into the candy aisle and telling a kid to pick one. It can be overwhelming. So pick one process. Today, we're going to talk about new business. In new business, it's going to be your sales funnel from prospect all the way to the point of issue and binding that policy. Then you have your policy period. That's what we call our marketing phase. That's where you have your holiday messages going out. You have, you might want to have midterm policy reviews going out to customers, asking them to book meetings with you. You have monthly newsletters, you have cross-sell campaigns. All of that is the marketing piece. Then the customer approaches the renewal time. And during the renewal process, you can use a pipeline or you can use automations. But again, it's just pick one workflow and build that out completely. Thank you, David. So today we're going to talk about new business. Next week, we're going to talk about renewals. And then the next week, we're going to talk about marketing. So, and we meet once a week. So technically in 1 month, you could have each process built. You could. Each TWFG branch and agency gets 2 free one-on-one training sessions. So the idea is that if we're starting with new business, you meet with, as a group today, we talk about some of the basics. You jump in and you get started. As soon as you jump in by yourself, that's when all those questions arise. You book a one-on-one training session. We go over those questions and we build that process together. But because you attended a group training, you have a foundation and a starting point. So when you have your 30-minute session with your one-on-one trainer, you're maximizing your time. Then you can select another process. Most people will select the renewal process, which is next week. Then you schedule your next one-on-one session. New business renewals, those are, it's specific to how you run your agency. So I would use your one-on-one sessions for that. The marketing piece is a little, it's easier to understand. All you have to do is just build your templates. We are working with your marketing team at TWFG to build templates for you. Every month, they're going to release new templates to you all. I don't know how many. I don't know what's the content. We can give feedback to them through these group training sessions as to what you guys would like, and then they will build it and they'll release it to you. Have they completed all templates? By all, they've completed what they feel like is marketing, right? Today, I'm actually meeting with Lindsay, who's on marketing today, and I'm going to ask her to build more sales, new business templates. So that will be the big focus for them in this next release. That will also include those renewal templates that Damon Cook uses. So that is the plan today when I meet with her. So hopefully in this next release is when you're going to have, I would say, all templates, and then everything moving forward is how do you revamp your, inactive client template or cross-sell templates, things like that. Okay. Me too, Curtis. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So Evo integration. I don't have that presentation up. Let me pull it up. Monzer, can you share the Canva presentation of Evo integration? I don't have it up. I'll get it up, but.
Yes, let me open it.
Thank you. So for Evo integration, auto sync has been turned on for everyone. They have disabled manual sync. It's just a way to save you time so you guys don't have to worry about that sync button. You can create a contact inside of InsuredMine. That contact will automatically transfer into Evo, or you can continue your normal process of creating the contact in Evo, and then that contact in Evo will transfer into InsuredMine. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you create that contact, it's going to be seen in both places. Evo will always be your policy management system. You will always use Evo when it comes to managing your customers' policies. If any endorsement needs to happen on a policy, you still will have to use Evo. So Evo will not go away. And the reason for that is because we are a CRM, a customer relationship management system. And Evo is your policy management system. They talk with the carriers. We do not. So you still will have to use Evo for policy portion. As far as the communication with your customer during the sales cycle, during their policy period, and when it's time for renewals, InsuredMine helps you build that relationship during each of those processes. I'll give a short story. I have Progressive Insurance. And I think a month ago, I received an email that said, my policy was renewed. Here's my new ID cards. I had no idea when my policy period window opened up, like the renewal window. I did just buy a house within the last 2 months. So that could have been a cross-sell opportunity that my agent could have received with me. I don't even know who my agent is. So it feels a lot like it's just and maybe it's just because I went straight to Progressive instead of an agent. But it feels a lot like a computer is just doing everything. So I don't really think about, I like this person, let me push everything to them because I trust them. And the way you gain big business is by building that relationship. So InsuredMine helps you build the relationship and also communicate with your customer during the sales cycle, during the renewal process. You do little check-ins to say, hey, how you doing? All of that. Evo does not do that. Evo just talks to the carrier, downloads the policy, and Evo is your document management system for policies. That's what that is there for. The information that transfers, right, in order to communicate with my customers automated, we need to have the policy details of the customer. We need to have their birthday. We need to have what's their first name and their last name, so we can automatically generate emails that say, hi, Kiara, hope everything's going well. Just wanted to let you know your renewal's approaching, right? All that information needs to be able to transfer. One sec, can we go to the next? That might be before. I think it's like 3 slides. Oh no, the other way. Daily. We might have rearranged this. It's okay. Okay, Evo integration. Contacts and policies transfer into InsuredMine. What goes back from InsuredMine to Evo are all of the interactions you have with the customer. So if you assign a task to yourself to call them in a week, that transfers into Evo. If you attach a quote inside of a deal card, that file will transfer into Evo. If you send an email to the customer saying, hey, your policy's up for renewal, it's going to expire in 30 days, that email will transfer into Evo. If you send a text message to the customer asking, hey, can you send me your VIN number? And they text back, that email thread will show up inside of Evo. Okay. The information that does not transfer up, if you add a policy inside of InsuredMine, that will not transfer back to Evo because policy management is always done in Evo. So if you want to trigger cross-sell campaigns to your customers and you want to do home, no auto, if that policy is inside of Evo, the system will read what policies that customer has and trigger out the emails to the correct people. Okay. Here's the chart of what transfers back and forth. All interactions with the customer will transfer into Evo. Okay. If you have a file or a note inside of Evo currently, and you open up that customer inside of InsuredMine, you will not see that information transferred down. That is a security reason. We can't automatically, let's say the carrier dumps in the policy documents. We can't automatically pull and extract those personal documents from a system. It's not the best use of security. But if you manually attach it into the system, it will transfer up. I'll give you guys a second to look at this. Any questions about Evo integration? So you can create a contact inside of InsuredMine. That contact will transfer to Evo. You work that contact in your sales funnel. So you say, hey, thanks for contacting us. Here's my quote form. Please fill it out or give me a call so we can collect your quote information. You attach the quote to the deal card. The attached quote will transfer. When it's time for the policy, you go back to Evo, you create the policy shell, the policy will download, InsuredMine will update with that policy. I cannot create a policy inside of InsuredMine, but the policy information will transfer down. Okay. Any questions? If I close win a deal card in IM, does it create a policy in Evo? Oh, I think we want to answer that one. I'm assuming that's why you said thanks, but no, closing a card is just about new business analytics. All I'm doing is I'm keeping track of my quoted to close ratio. That's all I'm doing on my pipeline. It's a way to manage your leads. It does not create policies. Okay. If we can go to the next slide. Every time, next one. I don't know. Every time, I'll just share my screen. Every time you are adding a file, a note, a task, it's creating an open diary inside of Evo. Yes, the diary is open. They're working on creating it, an integration to where it will create a closed diary, but for now they are open. The best practice is you work your deal. When it's time to create that policy shell, you go back to Evo and you double check everything. By double checking, you're closing out the diaries. Normally, to create a diary, you have to type in 10 different fields. We are doing 9 out of the 10 fields. All you have to do is click the box to close it out. It's a good way to double check or review something. Okay. I don't know what this says. Can you guys see my screen? Let me stop share and reshare. There we go. Can you see it now? There we go. Okay. I'm going to start on pipeline. So to sign in, I dropped the link to your website. It's twfg.insuredmine.com/agent. You'll sign in using your email address and your password. Once you sign in, the first screen you're going to start seeing is this agency dashboard. The agency dashboard is a snapshot of your entire book of business inside of Evo. All we have done here is we've taken all of your Evo data and we've put it into pretty pictures and graphs. This is a good way to see whether your integration is off. So if you look at your premium amount and you say, oh, this is short by $1 million, there might be something wrong with your integration. What we have found most often is it's not necessarily the integration that's off, but it's just unclean data inside of Evo. So what InsuredMine does is it brings to light the unclean data inside of your policy management system, and it gives you the ability to clean it up. There's different widgets on this dashboard. So you've got context by location. What month do you have policies expiring? So this is Gordy's branch, and it looks like for the month of August, that's when most of their policies expire. A good place to start on data cleanup is on your dashboard. You'll scroll down and find contacts missing details. If you're trying to run marketing automations, like if you want to say happy birthday to your customers, you should make sure you have their date of birth here. Okay. If you want to run, send, hey, your policy's up for renewal emails, you have to make sure you have the email addresses for your customers. So this will show you your percentages of what's missing. If you click that percentage, it'll pull up the list of all of those contacts that are missing emails. The ones that have the stars next to these contacts, those are primary contacts, which means they're the primary account holder. So you could have a family, and in that family, the primary contact could be the husband. And then you can have a secondary contact, which would be the wife, and maybe you have a third contact, which is the 16-year-old kid. Out of all of those contacts, the most important one is that primary one, because they're the ones that would receive any automated policy renewal, any monthly newsletter. We do not by default include secondary contacts unless you tell the system to include secondary contacts. So when you're looking at this context missing detail screen, the starred ones are the ones you want to make sure you have email addresses for. Yes, Melanie. So on your dashboard, so as soon as you sign in, you'll see your dashboard. If you don't see this dashboard, you can click the InsuredMine symbol. Then if you scroll down on the agency dashboard, you can find context missing details. It might be a little further down for you, but it's on this first page. So context missing details here. And then you can click the percentage and it'll pull up the list. By default, it's only going to show you active, but if you want to do prospects, leads, and others, you can do that as well. Okay. The dashboard is broken up into 4 different categories. The one I'm going to focus on today is going to be the sales dashboard. The sales dashboard is where you're going to find all of your new business reports. Okay. Everything that you do on the deal card populates data here. So you can see which agent is winning deals and losing deals. You can see which agent's losing. You can see your quote to close ratio. So how many cards does it take for, or what percentage of quoted customers do you actually close? You can see deals by carriers. You can see deals by categories. So this is Gordy's branch, and it looks like they've been having a lot of, oh, this is the commercial lines pipeline though. So a lot of general liability customers. Okay. All of this populates just by creating deal cards, moving them, and marking them won and lost. Damon, you should have it. I don't know if you're inside of Evo, you're going to have a launch button for InsuredMine. I don't know if that's the online portal you're referring to, but there is a InsuredMine launch button inside of Evo. So when you're building out your pipeline, just keep in mind that these are all of the reports. This is the benefit of using the pipeline manager, because you get all of this reporting just by using it. Okay, you don't have to do anything. You just create those deal cards, move them, mark them won and lost. Any questions on dashboard? No? Okay, I'm going to go to pipeline. When all of you sign in, you're going to have some sample pipelines in your account. The pipeline is what you will use anytime you're dealing with money. So you'll use the pipeline for new business, and you'll use the pipeline for your renewals. Okay, we're just talking about new business today. Most people will separate new business personal lines versus new business commercial lines in different pipelines because the stages and the automations are different. For personal lines, the process goes really quickly. Most of the time, it's someone who's called in and you quote them while you're on the phone with them. So they might not even go through this entire process. They might jump directly to the quote sent stage, and that's okay. First, commercial lines, it's a longer process. You have to get a bunch more signatures. You have to submit to different carriers. There might be a longer proposal time. So that would be the benefit of separating them. So then the automations can match the process. Again, you're given some sample pipelines. You have the ability to edit the sample pipeline by clicking the pencil, or you can start from scratch and create your own. Either way, whether you click create or edit, it's going to bring you to the same screen here. Okay, so here is where you're going to name your pipeline. Disable just means, do you want it to be used or not? Do you want it to gray out? You can decide whether the board is shared or private. The difference is transparency. If you have, if your producers don't want to see other people's deals, you want it to be a private deal, then you would have a private pipeline. Compared to your renewal pipeline, you might have a renewal team and you want all of them to see all of the renewals. You don't want single ownership of it. Then you would have it as a shared pipeline. The difference is just transparency. Do you want everyone to see everything, or do you only want them to see deal cards that are assigned to them? Then you'll click update and continue. Then stage 2 is where you have the titles of your stage. The stage represents a summary of what is happening. And at each stage, you might have actions that are occurring underneath it. So in my lead stage, this is where I have tasks for the agent to call the customer to try to make contact with them. These could be, let's say you inherit a book of business, or you purchase a lead list. Okay, you haven't had touch points or contacts with these people. So the goal in this stage is to call and send marketing emails to them saying, hey, introducing myself. This is who we are. This is what we're about. This is why we're better than the competitor. Give us a call. Let's talk. That's what happens in the lead stage. Once you make contact with that lead, you've talked to them over the phone. You might take that lead and move it to the next stage. And this is commercial lines, but it's where you are starting to collect quote information, or if it's commercial lines, you're qualifying them to see whether they can be placed into your quoting cycle. Okay. Once you've collected all the quote information, you on the back end are submitting it to the different carriers, or you're submitting it to your rating system to generate the quotes. Then you can move the deal card to the propose stage. This is where in this stage, you have emails triggering out to the customer and maybe text messages saying, hey, your quote is ready. Give me a call. Then you can have a sequence of emails going out for 2 weeks following up on the quote sent. Okay, so as soon as you drop the deal card there, you can have, hey, your quote's ready. I'm going to give you a call here in a second. You can automate a voicemail being dropped saying, hey, just sent you an email with all of your quote information. Email me back if you're interested. Text messages. You decide the sequence. If the customer says yes, they can move to the application signature stage. And in this stage, you might have a checklist of they need to download the policy documents, they need to send ID cards, they need to upload everything to the carrier site. It's a checklist of all the items you need to do. And then last is policy issuance. Once everything has been completed, you move the deal card to policy issuance, and an email is automatically sent to the customer saying, hey, congrats on your new policy. Thanks for trusting us. Here's what to do if you have a claim. Here's what to do if you have a service request. Don't forget, we also sell this other types of insurance. And then maybe 2 weeks later, you ask them for referrals. All of that can be automated just by moving the deal card. So the stage is a summary of what's happening. And then within that stage, you have actions or a process that's occurring. Okay, don't worry about that. So then you'll just do update and continue all the way through. So then you have your pipeline with your stages. And then on that pipeline, you have deal cards. So here's deal cards. Deal cards are customers. And inside of the deal card, you have the quote premium amount and your revenue, how much commission you're making. And those deal cards will move stage to stage. Any questions so far? No? Okay. I'm going to start with, let's walk through a flow from beginning to end. So you get a call from a customer and you want to create a business deal card for this customer. So you go to your pipeline and you say, add deal. You decide whether it's personal or commercial. We're going to go through personal. You're going to type the customer's name. It's searching Evo and InsuredMine to see whether this contact exists. If the contact does exist, you're able to select the existing contact. If the contact does not exist, you're going to select create new at the bottom. You have to select one of these options. You have to select an existing, or you have to click create new. If you just type and bypass that area and keep going down, you won't be able to click save. So I'm going to click create new. Now it's creating a brand new contact inside of Evo. So you're plugging in all the information. It's going to go in which pipeline, so personal lines, in which stage. This stage will determine whether, so if it's a call-in and they say, I'm just interested, please send me a quote form, I'm going to drop it into the info gathering stage. If I quote them and everything while I'm on the phone, I'm going to drop them in the quoted stage. Deal title by default is always the customer's name or the business name. Deal category is what's the line of business that they're interested in. So let's say she's interested in auto. You can select multiple within one card. So I'm going to say auto and homeowners. Deal health is whether it's a hot, cold, warm lead. This data doesn't transfer anyway. It's just for you. So they say they're warm. Lead source is how did they hear about you? So Victoria, how did you hear about us? Maybe she said, oh, it was a referral. Oh, great. Who referred you? You can add that specific person as the referral. To click add deal, there's going to be an orange button for add deal once you're in pipeline. I'll show you this screen right here is covering it. I'll show you again, Rob. The due date is the day you want the quote out to the customer. So maybe I want this quote out by Friday the 10th. And the expected closing date is the day the policy should become effective. So the expected closing date, maybe it's in a week, the 18th. You can add any description, so whatever they say over the phone. And then you're going to add the X date. The X date is very important when it comes to your marketing. So always enter the X date. The X date and the expected closing date, those are the exact same dates. Okay. So my expected closing date for this policy was March 18th. So I'm going to add an X date for that exact same date, March 18th, and for which lines of business that they're trying to get with us. So for their auto and their home. If I select more options, here you have more options. You can enter their date of birth, their address. Okay. If you are quoting them while you're on the phone with the customer, you can type in that quoted amount while you're creating that deal card. So you don't have to double back. And I'm going to click save. So here's the deal card I just created. On the deal card, it has the customer's name. I didn't type in a premium because I haven't collected quote information yet. Here I have the due date, which is the day the quote should be sent out. And then the expected closing date is the policy effective date. Rob, the add deal button is right here. So when you go to pipeline, it's going to be the orange plus. Damon, how often does the data refresh? If we don't see the prospect, should we refresh the data before adding the prospect in IM? Yes, Damon, I'm assuming you're adding the prospect inside of Evo first. So if you go to Evo, you create that. Yeah. So you go to Evo, you create that contact. The sync is within 5 minutes. So it should happen immediately. All right. So now I have this deal card and I'm taking this deal card and moving it down. So maybe I get to the quoted stage. I collect all the quote information for Victoria. And I've generated a quote for her. So I'm going to come into the deal card under quotes. So how I got here, I clicked, let me slow down. I clicked the title of the deal card. Then on this left panel where it says premium, I'm going to click here. This is where you can enter the quote information. So maybe for her auto quote, I received 1,500. And out of that, my commission off that deal is maybe 75 bucks. If I select more options, this is where I can plug in the carrier that I quoted her with. We'll say Progressive. You do not need to plug in policy number, policy term, all of this information because you have integration with Evo. That will download in. You don't need to worry about it. You would want to enter the carrier in because you want to say, this is my quote with this particular carrier. You don't have the policy number yet, so you don't need to plug that in. Okay, you can do the same thing for homeowners. You'll type in what's the quoted amount, and then what's your commission off of that. select more options. Who's the carrier? I don't know. AAA. And then I'll click submit. So now on the deal card, if I look from the outside, here's my deal card I was working on. It's going to show you the premium amount and how much in commission. And that deal card will just continue moving down your pipeline. Okay. Any questions on creating a pipeline and creating deal cards on the pipeline? No? Okay. I'm going to go into what information transfers. So while I created this deal card, I can send emails to the customer from inside of the deal card. I can add a note. I can attach a quote file. Okay. All of this information will transfer into Evo. Everything up here will transfer into Evo. An activity inside of InsuredMine is a calendar event. So if you book coffee with a customer, that is a calendar event. If you need to call this customer in a week, that is a task for yourself. So only create activities if you want the customer to get a calendar invite. Okay. All this information up here will transfer into Evo. So you can work your deal inside of the deal card. Any questions about working deal cards? So we talked about where do you add in the quote right here. You can attach notes and files inside of the deal card. You can send emails, you can send text messages. Good there? Let me see this question. Amber, both work. You can click this plus to add a deal in that exact stage, or you can click add deal. No questions? Okay. That is level one, creating the pipeline, creating deal cards, moving deal cards. And then marking them won and lost. So Victoria says, yes, I'm interested in that deal. You can mark the deal card one. Which quote did you win? Let's say you won the auto. So then you're just going to say, what's the one date? Select more options. You're just going to update your premium and your carrier. Okay, in your revenue, because what's quoted might not be what's actually bound. So just double check that. Again, you do not need to type in the policy information because that will download into InsuredMine from Evo. This is where you would go back to Evo and create your policy shell. Okay, so you don't have to plug this in here. You go to Evo to plug in your policy. If you lose the deal, you'll mark that specific quote lost. You're going to select your lost reason. A lost reason is a setup item that you will do with your trainer. So you'll say, why did you lose it? And then you're going to reset the X date. Was this a six month policy? Was it a 1 month BOP? Was it a 1 year policy? Just reset it. And then you'll click submit. That's if you lose the deal. All right. The last step, which is a level up, are automations. As you take this deal card and you move it down your pipeline, you can have automations triggering out to the customer. Can we change the info in the event? Info changes? Yes, you can always go back, Rob. All right, so I'm going to click the big 3 dots on the far right, and then I'm going to select automation. Automations are a series of text or emails or checklists or tasks that trigger automatically from the system based upon the deal card creation and the deal card movement. In each of those emails and text messages, you can customize the information. So you can use tags, which is what we see here. So we say, hi, contact full name. So it'll type in, hi, Rob Robinson. Okay. Thank you for contacting. This is where it's going to drop in your branch name. When it comes to insurance, we know protecting you and yours is important. This is an automated email that goes out to the customer. It's personalized to them by using these tags. Then a text is sent to them automatically, asking them to opt into text messages. If they do not want to, they reply stop. That's automated. And then a checklist is added to remind you of what to do. Make sure this contact is synced to AMS 360. You're going to make sure you've uploaded your quotes. Sometimes the checklist transfers throughout the entire process. So you might not have just a checklist for one stage. You might have just an entire new business checklist. And as you move that deal card, you're checking items off. Stefan, if you can't save, you're missing something that's mandatory, or in that name field, you have to click an existing or select create new. So in all of your pipelines that you guys have on in your accounts, we have preset in automations for you to give you an idea of what it can look like. The marketing team will also be creating more options for you. So all you will do is go in and plug them in. They are creating that for you. When you go to your training session, the best use of time is to know your process. Know what happens when a lead calls your office. What do you guys do? What email do you send? What happens next? Know your process. Write it out, script it out, whatever you need. That will save you time in training. We do give you a sequence sample so you can kind of see what we see. This sequence is built off most common practice that we see at InsuredMine. So for example, in the prospect stage, this is where you're trying to push them to collect quote information. They will reach out to this customer for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they automatically close out that contact, because that contact is not in your sales funnel. They're just a prospect you should just hit with some marketing content until they're ready to be in your sales funnel. To add automations or to edit existing automations, to edit, you click the pencil. To add, you're going to select add new automation stage. And up at the top here, these are all of the automated options. Emails and text messages are external, so they're going to customers. The rest of these up at the top are an internal process. None of this will go back to the customer. Okay. You can assign a task to yourself or to someone else. So let's say you have a CSR that works under you. As soon as I take that deal card and move it to issue policy, it assigns that deal card to the CSR. That's the assign option. If you have a life policy or a life, you're trying to cross-sell life insurance, as soon as you close a deal, you can automatically move that deal card to your life insurance pipeline. And then whoever handles the life insurance can call that customer and ask, are you interested in life insurance? That would be the copy feature. Okay. While you're building out those emails and text messages to customize it to the customer, you have these tags on the side. So you could say, hi, customer first name, and it'll drop in the first name of that contact. The more tags you have, the more personal it sounds. A common question we get is, can I tag the quote that I've plugged into the system? It can tag the quote amount. So we can tag the carrier you quoted them with. That's why it's important to fill that in that quote page. We can tag the line of business, whether it's home, auto. We can tag the premium amount. So if you plug in how much money in premium you're potentially going to get with this customer. So you can send an email automated saying, hey, following up on the quote I sent you 3 days ago with this particular carrier for this line of business at this amount. Any questions on automations? This is where I stop. No questions so far? Okay, that's a lot of information. So the question is, where do I start? Start with your process. What are the stages in your sales funnel? Start there. So a customer calls in, they're a prospect. From there, what do? You collect quote information. After that, what do? Do you just email the quote out to the customer, or do you call to propose the quote to the customer? Best practice, never email a money proposal out without discussing the money proposal first, right? Once you have contacted the customer and talked to them about the quote, now it's in their hands. The ball's in their court. They have to say yes or no. So how do I follow up with that customer, prompting them to give you an answer? Because an answer is better than no answer. We don't want to waste our time actively chasing someone that has already signed a policy with someone else. All right. So we want to push them to a decision. You can do that automatically with our system. It can trigger out emails and text messages at a time sequence that you would like. So the question is, how often do you want to ask them? How often do you want to follow up on that quote? Do you want it to be emails and text messages? Do you want to have a voicemail dropped on their phone? Do you want the agent to call the customer? How many times should they have a touch point with them before you say this customer is lost? Then once you get to the policy issuance, if they say yes, what happens? You have a checklist of items. You need to go to Evo to create your policy. Do you want to send a welcome kit out to the customer? Do you want to ask for referrals? Do you want to get Google reviews? What happens next? If they say no, what happens next? Do you want to just not contact them anymore? So you want to unsubscribe them from everything? Or do you want to do soft marketing to them and reach back out, 60 days before or 30 days before their policy would have expired? So draft out your process, then schedule a one-on-one training, tell your trainer your process, and they will help you build it out while you're on that 30-minute call. Any questions on any? Yeah, I see some pouring in. Will you be able to see this training again? Yes, this was recorded, so we can probably upload it to YouTube if you guys would like, or to your TWFG InsuredMine website. When we send an email through InsuredMine, when the client replies, is it visible? Both. You're able to see it in both your email accounts if you're using Outlook or Google, and then you can also see it inside of InsuredMine. Same thing with text messages. With text, it can't be linked to your existing mobile phone. You have to get an InsuredMine phone number, or if you are using like Ring Central, we can integrate your Ring Central number. What other ones? Lightspeed. If you have an existing Lightspeed account, we can integrate that with InsuredMine, but we can't take a phone number that's owned by AT&T and port it into InsuredMine, because AT&T owns that number, not the platform. We use Twilio. So Twilio owns a sequence of numbers. We can assign you a number, and we can have it, how am I trying to say that? We can give it a local presence. So you can select the area code. So if it's 214, if you're in Dallas, we can give that. You have the ability to select that, but we can't take an existing one unless you ask your carrier to release that number to us. Damon, when we add an X date to IM for a prospect, what field does it populate to Evo? X dates do not transfer from Evo to InsuredMine or InsuredMine to Evo. So it would be important to enter that X date in to the contact inside of InsuredMine. And an easy way to do that, Damon, because I know you're going to Evo to create the contact first. And then you go to your pipeline, you click add deal, and you select the existing. While you are inside of the deal card, if you scroll down to find the linked contact, if you click that pencil, scroll down here, you'll see the X date. So you can add it while you're working that deal. And also if you're marking the deal card lost, it'll ask you for the X date. Does it create a proposed policy? That works. Okay. Proposed policy. And the X date is the effective date. Yes, the X date is the effective date. It does not create policies are not created inside of InsuredMine. Evo creates that policy and you create the shell inside of Evo. InsuredMine just, Evo just transfers that data into InsuredMine. Ruth, yes. Information on the phone, yes. We'll have to create something, a guide for you all. Okay, that I said I was going to finish up by 12. That is, you're welcome, Ruth. That is it. Again, what happens next? Montserrat will go in a little bit more detail about this, but write down, script out your process and be as creative about it as you would like. It's good to go there and say, I would like this, this, and this to happen. And we'll say, yes, this can happen. No, it cannot. We'll tell you the limitations. As long as you have a process, that's a good starting point. When you sign into your system, you're going to see an existing pipeline. And if you click the big 3 dots in the far right, select automation, you can see an existing sample sequence that can happen in each stage. So it's a good example. You can build upon it or start from scratch. All right, Montserrat, you're up.
Thank you, Kiara. So guys, thanks for attending the training. As you all registered to the Zoom link, you are going to receive the notification for next week to join us for the other training. All this month, we're going to have the weekly trainings with Kiara every Wednesday. After that, we will move forward with the two free sessions that you are going to have with Victoria or with Kiara. And after that, you will be able to set up your account by yourself, create your process, as Kiara said. Focus in what you want to do, select or pick only one process by the time, and then move forward. After you have your two free training sessions with Kiara and with Victoria, you are going to be able to buy training sessions with Kiara or with Victoria. And also we have professional services that in professional services, we will build your sales process, renewal, and communication. So I will send you an email later this week with all the details. And, if you have any question about it, that you can type us in the chat or send us an email at support@insuremine.com.
I wanted to answer Cameron's question out loud. He asked, can you turn on automations deal by deal? Yes, you can. When you click and drag it, you can say trigger all of these or just trigger two out of the 5. So you do have that option. I dropped in the chat again, the different process options. Pick one: new business, renewals, or marketing. And then also I dropped in the TWFG resource page at InsuredMine. So that is also a good place. That's it. Thank you guys. Go eat lunch. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lindsay told me. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.